Awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on, Mauricio. I'm going to ask you a few questions about productivity, but before I do, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Tiffany. My name is Mauricio. I live in Orange County, California. I do residential real estate. I've been a residential real estate agent for about 7 years, and I ventured into multifamily investing about 2 years ago.
Amazing. So today we're here to talk about productivity. And while we do that, I think it's really important to tack a definition on. What would you say personally for you is the definition of productivity?
I would say productivity would be related to being effective or effectiveness. I would say if you're able to reach your goals or your deadlines, I think you're being productive.
Love that.
I hope that helps.
Yes.
That's how it works in my head. I mean, if I'm able to reach a certain level of task, if I have 7 different tasks, for example, if I reach them all, then I was very productive that day.
Yeah, that's great. Productivity is the reason I had to ask this question is it's an interview about productivity, but I've gotten so many different answers on what productivity is. So while we have this conversation, it's very good to know what's going on in the background.
Perfect. That's good.
Awesome. Okay. So would you say you procrastinate?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's not something that I look forward to by all means or that I intend to do. It's just something that unfortunately it happens. I think that the challenge is in my line of business, one phone call, one text can completely take your attention from what you're doing. And before you know, you end up doing something completely unrelated to both.
Of course. What about perfectionism? Does that affect you?
Yes, it does. My wife is an engineer, so she's an industrial engineer, so she's used to having everything by method. And in my case, it's different. I'm the talker. I'm the one who goes out to get the business. So it does affect because we do have some goals that we need to achieve. We have some metrics, and when we don't hit it, sometimes I fall way below, and it really does affect.
Yeah. What about imposter syndrome or distraction?
Distraction. I think distraction is probably the biggest one. I think sometimes, I think probably a lot of people would relate. You just feel that your brain is fried, and you just need to look at something else. There's pictures of people traveling to Italy or the beaches of the Philippines, and before you know, you just want to escape everything, because if you look at your phone, there's a ton of messages, a ton of emails, voicemails, and there's so many things that you need to get back to, which are important, of course, but at the same time, you just need that little bit of distraction, I feel, during the day.
Yeah, I feel you. So what about self-sabotage or self-discipline? Any challenges there?
I'm not sure about self-sabotage. I think I'm very goal-oriented. I think my wife and I have been very focused on what we're doing. I think we really try to do our best. And if we do sabotage ourselves, it's not on purpose. However, distraction, yes, that's something that we're very guilty about. Procrastination, of course. I mean, there's times where I need to send the tough emails or whatever, and it's just, it takes me a while to do that.
Got it. Lots of overwhelm. And would you say that there's a fear of success or a fear of failure at play with any of this?
I think at first there was, Tiffany, when we first ventured into multifamily investing, when I was first submitting offers to buy a building. I've never bought a building before, so there was that fear. Sending so many offers, and when I felt that it was getting closer, I started panicking a little. What's going to happen if I do get the offer accepted? I mean, how am I going to get the attorney? I mean, I had everything in place in my head, and I had made some phone calls, but there's just too much to grasp. So I did experience that. I never, ever thought that I would, but I did experience some type of fear of success.
Yeah, got you. So what would you say are your biggest productivity or time management frustrations? Like, what has you pulling your hair out?
Ah, geez, that's a good one. Biggest
Anything
frustration.
around scheduling?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest issue for me is I do residential real estate, and at the same time, I'm trying to manage an investment company. And the difference, the challenge is that I feel like I'm being pulled between one and the other. And I'm trying to focus only on one task, and the phone rings or something happens and it's completely the other business. So I jump between one and the other too much. If I could dedicate half the day to one or half the day to the other, or one day to one and one day to the other, that would be perfect. But going back and forth is probably the biggest challenge.
And what are you doing to structure your time right now? Are you using a planner? Are you using a calendar? Are you letting the phone calls telling you what to do? And it can be that way sometimes in real estate.
I hate to admit it, but the third one is probably the one that applies the most. I mean, I try to do calendar. I try to, especially Google Calendar. That's the easiest way for me, right? And I have two. One is for residential, one is for multifamily. But sometimes they collide, and I just go by what the phone says or who calls or whatever.
Yeah. Drinking water out of a fire hose.
Yep, pretty much.
Got it. So what have you searched online on either Google or YouTube to work on this and to try to improve? So what I'm looking for here could be exact keywords or phrases that you've used to search this.
Yes, time management. I mean, I network with a lot of apartment investors, and we discussed this a lot. I was at an event recently in Dallas, Texas, and that was a big topic of conversation. We were networking with a ton of people that are very, very productive or successful, and we all have the same issue. So time management that's the main thing. How do you stay focused on just one task? And we all seem to have the same struggle.
Yeah. So you haven't searched for specific methods or tasks or things like this you can do online before?
No, I really haven't. I mean, when you Google time management, it just goes to so many things. I probably have come across some, but it's just then the phone ring and you just kind of have to go back to whatever you were doing.
Got it. So have you read any books on these kinds of topics? And this you can go kind of wide in. I know in real estate, personal development is really important. So anything around mindset, managing your energy, managing your focus, anything around habits?
Yes, I do have. I have several books actually behind me. I have one by Hal Elrod, that's really good. I have one by my friend Tom Hamill. It's actually really good as well. So I try to read if I'm flying or whenever I have some free time. But I do a lot of self-development, a lot of and that always comes with time management.
Yeah, of course. So have you ever done any courses on these kinds of topics, on optimizing your energy and getting things done?
I have not. I've looked into different, I would say I've gotten recommendations from friends in the industry, but I haven't really gone that far deep into it.
Okay. And are there any people you like to follow on social media that talk about these sort of things? Anything around mindset with this?
Around mindset, I mean, there's quite a few people. It changed for me several years ago, where I was following a lot of travel stuff to now I'm following a lot of positive thinking and mindset, goal setting, goal achievers, and so forth. I mean, there's minority mindset. That's a big page on Instagram. I mean, there's a lot, and I have several friends that are very motivating as well.
Awesome. Who would you say the top 3 people you like to follow are?
I would say
public figures.
Hal Elrod is probably one. I've met him in person, and he's just an incredible individual. I would say besides him, I mean, there's Anna Kelly, which is a friend of mine. I've met her before, very positive as well. And I mean, then you have the big figures like Grant Cardone and Darren Hardy and you know, people like that. I mean, those two are Darren Hardy is one that I like a lot.
Awesome. Cool. And what other investments have you made in trying to become more productive or manage your schedule better? And by this, I mean, it could be books, it could be workshops, it could be therapists, coaches, conferences, anything like this. Networking events, if there's a topic.
Yeah, I think the networking events or conferences, like the one that I recently attended in Dallas, Texas. I mean, I've already signed up for the next one next year. I've already signed up for another one in February in Colorado. I mean, I think that's extremely important to invest in yourself. I mean, I have a lot of badges from all the conferences I've attended, and I feel that I get so much out of each one. even if it's just a networking, even if it's just meeting somebody that will give you a tip to be better, or somebody that will push you to be better. But I'm very big on investing in yourself.
Amazing. And what conference was this in Dallas?
This was called Dealmaker Live. It's a multifamily investment conference, and I was very fortunate to be one of the guest speakers, if you can believe that.
Amazing.
I got an email directly from the organizer, from the head of the event, and wanted me to talk about the challenges and struggles to buy an apartment building during COVID.
Wow, that's amazing. How was that?
It was fun. I mean, I've never done anything like that before. I mean, when I was at the conference, to be honest, Tiffany, I met all these incredible individuals, and I kept thinking in the back of my head, why don't they interview him or her? I mean, they are far better. They're far more successful. But I think the organizer, Michael Blanc, which is probably one of the people that I follow the most, I think he wanted people to hear that it's not all rainbows and butterflies, but in fact, it's a lot of hard work and a lot of persistence. I mean, it's very common to hear the person that has 3,000 apartments and super successful, but that person didn't start during COVID. Doesn't have the same challenges that we've had over the past year. So it was a lot of fun.
What a cool opportunity. You have to let me know before you speak at the next conference.
Perfect. I'm definitely not a public speaker. I think, this just happened, I think, because of the challenges that were overcome. But hey, if it happens again, I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, you never know. Don't knock it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, awesome. So what home remedies or experiments have you done to try to be more productive? And you can use full spectrum, any crazy thing you've tried to be more productive.
Well, I'll say one of the things that everybody does, and one that it's a little unusual. The first one is trying to exercise a little. I haven't done that. I got to a point where my back was hurting, and I was just spending way too much time on the computer. I mean, there was a moment in time where I was doing 12 to 16 webinars a week, plus calls and so forth. So I had to force myself to start running, and even if it's just for 2 blocks, and to start walking my dogs at least twice a day, which of course they love it. So that's something that really helps me. And the other thing is that's kind of ashamed to admit it is memes. I see memes, my friends send me memes, and sometimes they're so ridiculous, and it makes me laugh. And if it makes me laugh, it puts me in a good mood. And I think that helps me keep going. Sometimes I watch something funny before I make a tough phone call, and I don't know, it helps.
I love that. I don't know how official this study was, but I think one of the funniest things I've seen on the internet is looking at cute or funny cat videos or at small animal videos before working increases productivity. No
way. Well, I think it would make sense. I mean, there's some all kinds of memes, whatever you think is funny, whether it's sports or so forth. I mean, to me, it puts me in a good mood, and I feel that it helps me set the day or set the mood for the day.
Yep. So what does your morning routine look like to get ready, to get prepared, to get in the right mindset?
Right now, the morning routine first thing is try to walk my dogs. I think it's very refreshing, especially the earlier I do it, the better. I don't do it as early as I want to. I want to do it at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. I usually do it around 7 or so. But just getting some fresh air, seeing the birds flying through the trees, and just seeing my dogs being so happy. That's the easiest thing. Then shower, coffee, computer, and wait for my daughter to wake up. And when she wakes up, spend some time with her. That's usually the morning routine, unless I have an appointment and then I need to leave super early. But that's usually maybe once or twice a week.
Okay, perfect. So how much do you think you've invested in total in personal development?
Personal development, I would say between conference and so forth, probably a good 20 grand.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you honestly, you have to. If you're just browsing through Instagram or so forth, I mean, you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you have to invest. I've invested in different programs and coaching. I'm very big on coaching, and that's how I was able to accomplish what I did, which is to purchase an apartment building. And now, I mean, we just closed our third one this past week. And you don't do these things just by yourself. I mean, you need some guidance. I mean, professional people have coaches for everything. So I'm very big on personal development and mindset.
It's amazing. So now for the audience, if someone's listening to this and they're thinking $20,000, that's a lot. How would you describe the benefits? What would have happened if you didn't invest that? And why would you recommend investing in personal development?
It's I would say 20 in personal development over the years, but in general, over the past 2 years, it's been closer to 50. Just because I purchased programs to help me understand the business, and that's more business related. But I think it's all connected. At the end of the day, it's depends on what your time is worth. I mean, if you have 8 or 10 months to be just messing around and seeing if you can do things on your own, good for you. I don't really have that. To me, I can't afford to see or to wing it, see how it goes. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll see if I go into coaching. Even for my real estate business, I mean, I have my mentor, my coach, and he's been my coach for 6-7 years. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you can never stop educating yourself. So the different, I guess, to answer your questions, where would I be if I had not invested? I would probably be planning another open house this weekend, doing the same that I was doing 2 or 3, 4 years ago. Instead, I mean, not to say that it's extreme success or by any means, I'm barely starting, but I mean, we just closed on our third investment property and about to close on our fourth one next week. And that does, I mean, I couldn't have done it myself. I mean, 100% honest when I tell you this, could not have done it myself.
That's amazing. And I think that's so important. Personal development is something I'm very big on as well. And I'm trying to remember where I heard this. My gut is telling me it was at the 10X conference with Grant Cardone. But I heard whatever you're told that college tuition is normal, that should be your budget for personal development every single year going forward. And I remember that just completely broke my paradigm of the world. Because as a teenager, I was like, oh, so you go to college, you spend all the money, and you never, you're done studying. That's it.
No, never have to worry again.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
The more valuable stuff comes after college.
There's one gentleman that I also follow. His name is Rob Cleave, and he posted a picture, I think a year ago. And he's a very tall guy. I met him in person. He was standing, and he had his arms stretched like that. And he had all the badges from all the conferences that he had attended. So he probably had 30 on each arm, or probably 50, who knows. But he said in his post that education is priceless, and you have to invest, you have to continue improving. So I'm thinking, but so many conferences that this gentleman has attended and everything that he has invested, that's why he is the great person that he is.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to that. It definitely comes down to that.
I think so. So now that things are opening, hopefully, I mean, I intend to at least go to 3 or 4 conferences in person. I do attend a lot of networking events. I'm attending one today at 4:30, another one tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, yes, from Florida, and another one on Friday. So I try to do at least 3 a week.
Amazing. 3 networking events a week. You're on fire.
There's a lot more. There really is. I mean, there's some that some friends of mine are hosting in Texas or different states, and I try to attend them all, but sometimes work gets in the way. But it's just very refreshing to get around with people that are completely disconnected with what's going on in the world, and they're just focused on how do we get to the next step. And I think it's the coolest freaking thing. I love it.
Absolutely. Awesome. So tell me, what does life and business look like when you have a good balance?
I'm not exactly sure yet. I would assume that it's a lot more time with my family, and having no single message that comes up where you have to run and attend it right away. In my head, at least, that's how it plays, where everything's taken care of. Of course, there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of things to do, maybe 2 or 3 days of working like crazy, so that you can have those days where, there's no fires going that you have to put out, or nothing crazy happening. You can just enjoy family time. That would probably be the what I would consider balance between work and family.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. I love that. And here's my legacy question. What is it you hope people will say about you 150 years from now? Well, how do you want to know that you've impacted people?
I would say 150 years from now, or whenever, I hope that people would think of me as the person who helped their parents or grandparents start investing, and because of that, they don't have to worry about college, or they don't have to worry about if they're ever going to be homeowners, because their grandparents or parents started something, and it was because they talked to me. That's really, no one has ever asked that. That's the coolest question. I mean, it's all just coming up right now.
I love that. I never like to share my questions in advance,
That's
because I love
cool,
getting the right response. But that was a really amazing response. I love that, and I could see how easily it just flowed right through you.
Yeah, I guess I've had it in my head all this time, but I just never put it into words.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Wow.
Well, thanks. Ben, thanks for the question. That's a great question.
Of course. So let me ask you this one. What is the one thing you feel like you're just missing about productivity? The one thing you just can't figure out?
I think I can't figure out how to prioritize my task. I think that's the challenge. I can't figure out which one is more important than the next. If I should stay on the one that I'm doing now, or should I jump on the one that just made the phone ring? That's really my struggle, and that's a big struggle. I think a lot of people in the industry have the same struggle. Where how do you know which one is the one that's going to get you closer to the goal? Which activity?
Absolutely. I work with 2 real estate clients, so I'm very familiar with how everything's always moving around.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. And is there anything you say you're challenged with scheduling that you haven't mentioned yet?
I mean, I have a lot of challenges. I think that the other one would be that I have one calendar for residential and one calendar for multifamily, and I'm not sure that that's very effective. I think sometimes it overlaps, or I put one task too close to the other one, and they're completely unrelated. And I'm sure you dealt with this before. Your clients you have to switch your mindset from one business to the next, and sometimes it's not enough time. And I think that I should probably just have one calendar. I'm not sure yet. That's probably the struggle at this time.
Got it. So have you been always using 2 calendars, or have you kind of tried different methods?
No, I just started using the 2 calendars last year, just because I was mixing everything, and I would see a number, and it would take me a few seconds to realize, is this residential or is this multifamily? And that's why I decided to separate it. But I'm not sure that that's too effective.
Okay. Anything else you haven't mentioned?
I think besides the procrastination, I don't know. I think it's just sometimes I just don't want the phone to ring. And I think it's not that I don't want it to ring because I don't want to do the work. I just wish that I had done the work before, so that I could take a full morning or a full afternoon without any interruptions with the family. So there's always that message that comes in, and when I see it, I think, crap, I should have done this before, and I'm still battling. I'm still trying to figure out how to manage all that. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Definitely. So let me ask you this one. If you could wave a magic wand and create a program that delivered everything you need, what would it include, and how would it be delivered?
I'm not sure what would it include. I mean, it would definitely include time management. And it would definitely filter out all the spam stuff on LinkedIn, because there's just too many. There's just too much. And it would have something organized where if there's something in my calendar that would indicate if it's multifamily or if it's residential. And I think it would be, this is just coming up in my head, probably color coded as far as priority. I've heard of that before. And I haven't really thought about it too much, but I think that would be a good start, something that I could look at a calendar and I could look at the colors and know what to tackle, what's priority. And if I get a message on social media, that's something that would tell me if it's just another lender trying to get business or if it's a real connection. Like, hey, I saw you at the conference, let's connect. I think that would be very, very helpful.
Okay. And for that, what would be the result for you? If you had a perfect, color-coded calendar, was organized by priority, and you knew exactly what you're supposed to be doing every day, how would life be different for you? How would business be different?
Well, definitely more effective. Definitely less. Less having to. Oh my goodness, less wondering what the next task is or what the next priority is. I think it would just be flowing, if that makes sense. Just everything would just flow from beginning to end of the day, and the day would end knowing that all the tasks were completed and knowing exactly what has to be done the next day without any changes, no matter what happens, this is what you have to do tomorrow. If I know what I have to do, when I start doing something, I'll do it, I'll finish it. The problem is when there's interruptions. So if I could take those interruptions, it would be very satisfying now that I think about it, just ending the day, turning everything off at the end of the day, and just knowing that everything was completed. It's very satisfying just to think about it. Yeah,
love that. You went more and more into it. Your smile got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Because I'm sitting here with my two computers, and I even have my baby monitor, and I'm just imagining just turning everything off and saying good night. Everything's done and no worries, and then coming back the next morning and just with a cup of coffee, turning everything on and color coded. It sounds pretty cool.
I love it. Okay, so what would you be willing to invest in that kind of dream program?
I'm not sure. I'm not too shy when it comes to investing. Not to say that I like. That I have so much to invest. By all means, every investment is a sacrifice, but it's how much it improves you. If it improves your productivity, then that's just what is your time worth. I'm not exactly sure. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I've seen programs from 500 to the couple of grand and software stuff like that. I've gotten a couple of calls with some CRMs also. So they're around the 500 to 700 range. There's some that are like a lot less, like $299 or even $199 a month. So it all depends on which one. Some are too complicated, so I kind of stay away from those. The ones that have a bigger price tag just seems like it's just too much, and I just need to organize just a little bit. So I guess it would depend.
Okay, so some are too complicated, so you stay with the bigger price tag.
Yeah, some are too much. To give you an example, the company that I'm with in residential, they give us a program, a CRM called KB Core, and that's like $700, and we have it. It's available to us. I just started using it. I've had this program for a year, and I just started using it recently because it just seems too much, and I just want something more simple. I don't want to spend 3 weeks learning how to use something. It's just, I don't have that time.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So fill in these blanks for me around productivity and time management. I want to go from blank to blank so that blank.
I want to go from, I would say, busy to productive in actually every week, meaning too busy to being satisfied with what I've done every week.
Yeah. And so that
I could spend more time with the family.
Beautiful. Amazing. Mauricio, thank you so much for this interview.
No, thank you, Tiffany. This is great. I mean, I love the topic. It's a huge struggle, at least in my industry, both in residential and in multifamily. Every multifamily investor that I know, every friend of mine, has something to pay the bills right before we start to enjoy more passive income. And everyone is struggling with the same thing. I have friends that are police officers. I have friends that are in the military. I have friends that are mortgage lenders. I have friends that are even park rangers and still trying to do multifamily. So it's a big challenge for us to try to balance, your 9 to 5 job with something like a side job that is more like a retirement plan. So I love to help contribute, and I love the questions. I'm looking forward to the recording.
Me too. Again, thank you so much. And if people want to reach out to you, if they're interested in real estate, they're interested in networking, what's the best way for them to contact you?
The easiest way is my website, which is brickstoneinvestmentgroup.com. And I'm also very active on social media, mostly on Facebook and Instagram. Just Google my name or just type my name, Mauricio Roque. I'm also on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn, it's just too crowded. I think too many, too much spam. But yeah, those two social media platforms are the easiest ones.
Amazing. Thank you so much again.